Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
It's always interesting how our tastes can evolve, right? Especially when you're really passionate about something like, say, watch collecting.
Oh, absolutely.
And sometimes just one thing, one object can kind of come along and just, well, challenge everything you thought you liked. It just grabs you.
Exactly. Those moments are what make exploring things so rewarding, I think. And today we're diving into exactly that kind of experience. We're looking at the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Sky Dweller, reference 336938.
Right, the yellow gold one with the green dial. Pretty striking.
Definitely described as a heavy hitter.
Hmm.
It's kind of this big visual impact.
So the source we're digging into is a really personal review of this watch. And our goal here, our mission, is to sort of unpack why this specific Sky Dweller gets so much attention.
Yeah, what makes it stand out?
And how it maybe pushes against, more traditional tastes. We want to get into the design, the tech specs, sure, but also what it feels like to wear it.
That experiential part is key, especially with a piece like this.
So let's get into it. The author of this review had a pretty interesting path with Rolex, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Back in 2012, when they first started writing about watches, apparently Rolex just wasn't really their thing. They said they didn't care much for the brand.
Which is quite a statement for someone deep in watches. What usually causes that kind of like 180-degree turn?
Well, I think it really comes down to getting hands-on. It's one thing to see pictures, but actually handling the watches, maybe meeting people involved with the brand, understanding the thinking behind it all.
The philosophy, yeah.
Exactly. That can completely change how you see things. And over time, the author developed this deep appreciation for Rolex's ethos in product development. It wasn't overnight.
Okay, so it was gradual with the brand itself, but what about the materials? The review mentions they weren't really into gold before either. Preferred steel, titanium.
Right. Yeah. They were much more into that sort of tool watch aesthetic, I suppose. Yellow gold, rose gold just wasn't their preference.
But now,
Now, they mention warming up to precious metals, and this specific watch, the gold and green Sky Dweller, just completely swept them off their feet entirely.
wow. Was there like a stepping stone to that?
Yeah.
Or just boom,
But
gold?
it's interesting. There was something last year, the stainless steel Sky Dweller, the one with the mint green dial, reference 336934.
Ah,
That was apparently the watch that first clicked for them, the one that really pulled them into the Sky Dweller collection specifically. So the jump to the full gold version this year maybe felt, well, bolder, obviously, but perhaps more natural after that.
right. It paved the way a bit. And this combination, yellow, gold, and green, it definitely feels bold. The source calls it classical flamboyance. That sounds like it has some history.
Oh, for sure. That combo screams 1970s, 1980s. It was huge then. Think lacquered dials, sometimes malachite stone dials. That deep green against the bright yellow gold.
Kind of that power dressing era vibe.
Exactly. The Wall Street Cowboys, the Gordon Geckos, Jordan Belforts. It was definitely an aesthetic tied to, well, a certain kind of overt success statement.
Which some might have seen as a bit, brash, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps. And maybe some still do. But yellow gold itself has made a massive comeback recently. And when this specific combo is done well, like the author felt it was here, it just works.
What makes it work here, then? Why did it blow them away?
I think it's about the execution. It's not just any green with any gold. Rolex is pretty masterful with materials and finishes, the warmth of the gold, the specific shade and depth of the green. It creates this really powerful visual harmony. It stops being brash and just becomes, well, stunning. The author literally said it just blew them away.
Okay, so let's zoom in on the watch itself. The Sky Dweller 336938. What are the specs, the physical presence?
Right. So first off, it's solid 18-karat yellow gold, like top to bottom. That means the case, the bezel, the bracelet, it gives it serious weight, real heft. It's 42 millimeters wide, which is substantial, and 13.8 millimeters thick. So yeah, it's got presence.
And that green dial we keep talking about.
Yeah.
The review mentions it changes color.
Yeah, quite dramatically. It's described as a rich green sunray brushed dial. That brushing means it catches the light in different ways. So it can go from this really bright, vibrant green to almost black, depending on the angle and the light. Super dynamic.
Cool. And functionally. It's not just a pretty face, right? The Sky Dweller is known for being complex.
Oh, yeah. It's packed, but still legible. You've got the big applied markers, easy to read. Then there's the date, obviously. The month is indicated using those little apertures next to the hour markers, with the current month highlighted by a red marker that's the signature red triangle moving around the dial.
Ah, the annual calendar part.
Exactly. And you've got the second time zone, the GMT function, shown on that off-center rotating disc. So annual calendar, GMT, time, date. It's a lot, but Rolex manages to keep it surprisingly clean looking.
And the bracelet choice. The author had thoughts on that.
They did. Strong ones. They definitely preferred the matching yellow gold Jubilee bracelet.
Why?
Their feeling was that the alternative, the oyster bracelet, felt a bit overpowered by the fluted bezel. Like the textures didn't quite balance. And the oyster flex, the rubber strap, just not the best look on this particular reference in their view.
Interesting how much the bracelet impacts the whole package on a heavy watch like this.
Absolutely. It affects the look, the feel, the balance.
So the review mentions the author only had it for maybe half an hour.
Yeah, about that.
But the impression was profound. How does a watch that heavy solid gold feel comfortable so quickly? You'd think it might feel bulky or awkward.
That's where Rolex's engineering shines, apparently. Despite the heft of the gold, the author insists it was never uncomfortable. They put it down to the brilliant fit and finish and this wonderful sense of balance around the wrist.
So it just sits right.
Seems so. Good weight distribution is crucial for a heavy piece, and the Jubilee bracelet often helps with that too, conforming nicely to the wrist.
Makes sense. And setting all those functions must be complicated.
Actually, that's another highlight. They mentioned the ease of the ring command system. That's the bezel, right? You turn the bezel to select which function you want to set using the crown time, date, GMT.
Ah, okay. So the bezel isn't just decorative.
Not at all. It's integral to the setting mechanism. The author called it a real winner. It makes setting a complex watch feel surprisingly intuitive.
Okay, but no watch is absolutely perfect. Were there any small gripes, even minor ones?
Yeah, a couple of small things were mentioned. They conceded it might be a touch thick, perhaps.
13.8 millimeters isn't super slim, true.
And also that there's a bit too much script, like text, printed within that 24-hour GMT ring on the dial.
Okay, minor aesthetic points.
Exactly. And significantly, they immediately followed that up by saying they could live with it, which, says a lot about how much they like the rest of it. The good far outweighed the slightly less good.
Right. And this leads to maybe the most interesting part for me, why they liked it so much. The author seems drawn to it because it's maybe a bit controversial.
Yeah, that's fascinating. They explicitly say they gravitate towards it precisely because some will say it's over the top and just way too pretentious.
Embracing the boldness.
Totally. It connects to their stated preference for the unconventional ones, the oddballs in watch collecting. They even gave an example, choosing a Rolex Air King over an Explorer.
Which is definitely a more niche pick within Rolex. The Explorer is iconic. The Air King is quirkier.
Exactly. It shows a collector who values personality and distinctiveness, maybe over just following the crowd or picking the safest popular choice. It's about what speaks to them.
So when faced with the choice, last year's Steel and Mint Green Sky Dweller, which they already liked.
Right, the one that got them hooked.
Versus this year's full-on yellow gold and forest green one.
They were ready to go bold. No hesitation.
It really shows how something can just click and change your whole perspective, even your established tastes.
Definitely. It's a great example of how specific design can just break through your own rules sometimes.
Now we have to touch on the price. Because, well, it's a solid gold Rolex Sky Dweller.
Not insignificant.
The price mentioned is EUR 56,800.
Yeah.
And the author is very upfront, saying that's well beyond my and most people's spending limits. But, for this deep dive, we're looking past the price tag.
Right. The point here isn't about affordability. It's about understanding the watch itself. The design choices, the impact, the feeling it evokes, why it resonated so strongly.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What's the takeaway here? This Sky Dweller, the 336938, it's clearly more than just a watch.
I think it represents a kind of unapologetic statement. It's got this daring look, combining that historical golden green flamboyance with modern Rolex execution.
It's technically complex with the annual calendar and GMT, controlled by that clever ring command bezel.
And surprisingly wearable, comfortable, despite being a big chunk of solid gold. That balance is key.
And maybe most importantly, it has this power to really shift perceptions, to make even a seasoned watch person reconsider their own preferences.
Yeah, it challenges you. It's a reminder that sometimes the things that truly excite us are the ones that push our boundaries a little, the ones that aren't necessarily the obvious or subtle choice. It's about that personal connection.
So thinking about that,
Yeah.
that bold choice that maybe defies convention, we want to turn it back to you listening. If money was no object, What would be your personal bold statement watch?
Good question.
Or, forget watches for a second. In any part of your life, any interest you have, what's that unconventional choice, the oddball, that really speaks to you, even if other people might think it's over the top?
What's the thing you pick just because it resonates, regardless of trends or what anyone else thinks?
Something to think about. What's your personal definition of bold?